You a quick demo on making the fabric buckets. These buckets are easy to make in any size. You just have to adjust the measurements for them. They are made using stable as the uh, interior lining that stabilizes or makes it stiff. So on the smaller bucket, I used 2 strips of the wood fabric here that were 3.5 by 16.5. So the bucket ends up 3 inches high by 4 inches wide. And then as the base, the bottom of the bucket, 2 pieces of fabric that are 4.5 by 4.5. And then the fabric that wraps around the rim of the bucket, we need a piece of that is 3 inches by 16.5. And then for soft and stable, you need 1 strip that is 3.5 by 16.5 for the base of the bucket, and then 1 strip that is 1.5 by 16.5 for that piece of rim that goes around the top of the bucket. So starting with the rim piece, this is the 3-inch by 16.5 inch. You fold it in half and press it. And then you take the 1.5 by 16.5 piece of soft and stable, insert it, and then press it. And then you're going to, in case it's stretched a little, you're going to remeasure it and retrim it to 1.5 by 16.5. Next, you're going to fold it in half so the 3-inch edges meet, unfold it, and the 2 edges of the soft and stable should meet, and then with the fabric underneath it, and then the extra fabric, 1.5 inch extra edge of the fabric, and you're going to run a 1/4 inch seam all along here. Then you're going to take and you're going to trim that excess soft and stable down to the seam. Then you're going to take this fabric, you're going to just flip it back over top there, and you're going to give it a good pressing and put it back in place and just set it aside till later. Next, you're going to layer your base fabric right side out, soft and stable, and then another base fabric right side up. And lay those nice and flat, give them a press, and then you're going to find the center point, which is going to be 8.25 inches from the edges. You're going to mark that center point and then 4 inches out on each side. So you're going to have 3 lines, one on the center and a 4-inch line each direction from that center point. And then you're going to go to your machine and you're going to just stitch along those 3 lines. Then you're going to fold that in half so the short edges meet. So the 3.5 inch edges meet, and you're going to fold the outside pieces of fabric back. So the inside fabric and the soft and stable are here, catch inside the seam. And you're going to sew that. Again, you're going to trim that soft and stable layer on both sides down to the seam. So here it is, trimmed down to the seam. You leave the fabric, the inside fabric, the full length. Don't trim that. Then you're going to open that up, lay it flat, take one side of this fabric that you folded back, lay it nice and flat. On the other side, you're going to take it and layer it over and just have a little bit of a fold so you have a nice closed edge here, and you're going to pin it in place, and then you're going to just run a seam right down along the edge. It does get a little tricky, so you're going to take, on your machine, you're going to take it and just kind of fold it in on itself and run the seam right down there along the edge. Then you're going to, on the base, this 4.5 by 4.5 set of pieces, you're going to layer the bottom piece right side down of your fabric, the soft and stable, and then the other piece of 4.5 by 4.5 right side up, and you're going to sew an X from corner to corner and corner to corner. Then you're going to just remeasure it in case it got a little wonky. You're going to recut it a 4.5-inch square. Now you're going to go back to your base that now looks like a circle, and those 3 seams you bought, you sewed into it, and the where you joined the edges, those are going to be your marks for each of these corners. So if you want to pin it, but you really don't need to pin, you're going to take your corner pieces and match them up and start sewing in the center of it. And then you sew to your corner once you get there, and these cross hatches will help you meet up in that corner. You're going to have your needle down, lift your foot, hold that bottom piece of the side of your bucket, lay it flat on the base of your machine, and you're going to take this bottom of your bucket and just kind of twist it or swivel it there at the corner so that this next side of your bucket meets, and sew to the next corner. Then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to put your needle down when it reaches to the corner, lift your foot up, and you're going to swivel it so that these next corners meet. But you want to start sewing in the middle of a length. You don't want to start sewing at a corner. It makes it much easier if you start in the middle. So here's the view from the bottom, how it looks. Leave it turned inside out, because now you're going to take that top rim, slide it on the outside of your bucket. You can either use pins or clips, and then you're going to go around and sew that in place. Now you're going to turn it right side out, and you're going to tuck these corners down in place and unfold this rim fabric and fold it down under, and that's going to hide your seam. So then what I do is I lay this corner down on the iron machine, or this edge down on the ironing board. I give it a good press. I lay this edge down on the ironing board, give it a good press, and turn it all around so the edges are nice and crisp. And so there's your buckets. You can put your ornaments in it, put candy canes in it, however you want to use it. Put a dish in the bottom and put your poinsettias in. It's a great container for anything you need.